She explains, hoping to be seen. She clarifies, hoping to be respected. But respect does not arrive through explanation. It arrives through presence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is the pause that reveals strength. When you stop explaining yourself, something strange happens. The world becomes quieter. People listen more carefully. Energy shifts. Because explanation is often rooted in fear, the fear of being misunderstood, rejected, or abandoned. And when you explain too much, you unknowingly announce that you need approval, not with your mouth, but with your energy. Silence, on the other hand, says something powerful without saying anything at all. It says, I trust myself. It says, I do not need to convince you. It says, I am not here to argue for my worth. A woman who understands silence does not rush to correct every misunderstanding. She does not jump into every emotional storm. She observes, she listens, she allows people to reveal themselves. And this is where respect is born. Not from reaction, but from restraint. There is wisdom in knowing when to speak, but there is mastery in knowing when not to. When someone tests your boundaries with words meant to provoke, silence becomes a mirror. They speak, you remain still, and suddenly they hear themselves. Silence creates discomfort for those who rely on control. It removes the game. It refuses debate. And in that quiet space, something deeper is communicated. I am not moved by chaos. This kind of silence is not passive. It is deeply active. It is chosen. It is grounded. It requires self-trust, because when you do not explain, you must believe that your truth does not need decoration. Many women have been taught that being understood is more important than being respected. But the two are not the same. You can be understood and still be dismissed. But when you are respected, understanding follows naturally. Silence teaches others how to approach you. It sets the tone. It says, speak carefully here, this space has weight. And slowly, without effort, without performance, respect grows. But silence alone is not enough, because silence without structure becomes confusion. And this is where the next layer of power emerges. 2. Boundaries reveal self-worth. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with clear instructions. They do not say stay out. They say enter with care. A woman who has boundaries knows where she ends and where others begin. She does not lose herself in relationships. She does not disappear to keep peace. She does not betray herself to be loved. Boundaries are not spoken loudly. They are lived consistently. You do not need long speeches to explain your limits. Your behavior becomes the message. When you say no without guilt, you teach others how to treat you. When you walk away without drama, you teach others what you will not tolerate. When you pause instead of reacting, you teach others that your energy is valuable. Boundaries reveal self-worth because they show that you believe your time matters, your emotions matter, your peace matters. Without boundaries, love becomes exhausting, giving becomes draining, and connection turns into obligation. Many women confuse kindness with availability, but being kind does not mean being accessible at all times. Being loving does not mean being endlessly flexible. True love respects limits. True respect grows where boundaries exist. When you do not set boundaries, people will unconsciously test how much they can take. Not because they are cruel, but because human nature seeks clarity. Boundaries provide that clarity. They say, this is where I stand. They say, this is how I value myself. And when a woman values herself, others adjust accordingly. At first, boundaries may feel uncomfortable. You may fear losing people. You may worry about being misunderstood. But what leaves when boundaries are set was never a line to stay. Boundaries do not push away the right people. They filter out the wrong ones. And in that filtering, something powerful happens. You begin to feel lighter, calmer, more rooted in yourself. Because you are no longer negotiating your worth in every interaction. And yet, even boundaries can be weakened if they are not supported by balance. Because when giving becomes excessive, boundaries begin to blur. 3. Overgiving teaches others to undervalue you. Giving is beautiful. It is sacred. It is one of the deepest expressions of love. But overgiving is not love. It is self-erasure. When you give too much, too often, without reciprocity, you silently teach others that your energy is unlimited. And what is unlimited is rarely cherished. Overgiving often comes from a good heart, from empathy, from care, from the desire to be needed. But when giving becomes a way to earn love, it loses its purity. A woman who overgives does not realize she is shrinking. She believes she is being generous, but slowly she becomes invisible. Because when you always show up, people stop noticing the effort. When you always forgive, people stop reflecting. When you always adjust, people stop meeting you halfway. Overgiving removes the chance for others to invest. It robs them of responsibility. It turns relationships into one-sided exchanges. And over time, resentment grows, not outwardly but inwardly. You begin to feel tired, unseen, unappreciated, not because others are ungrateful, but because the balance was never established. Healthy giving flows both ways. It breathes, it pauses, it allows space. When you stop overgiving, something uncomfortable but necessary happens. People reveal their true intentions. Some step forward, some step back, and both responses give you clarity. Giving should come from fullness, not emptiness, from choice, not fear, from strength, not sacrifice. When you give only what you can give freely, without losing yourself, respect deepens, because others begin to feel the weight of your presence. They notice when you speak. They notice when you pause. They notice when you are not always available. And in that noticing, value is restored. You are never meant to exhaust yourself to be loved. You are meant to stand whole, grounded, and complete. And when silence is chosen wisely, when boundaries are honored calmly, and when giving is balanced consciously, something powerful shifts. The world no longer decides your worth. You do. And that is when everything begins to change. 4. Peace is chosen, not negotiated. There is a moment of awakening that comes quietly, not through pain, not through loss, but through exhaustion. The exhaustion of explaining yourself, the exhaustion of arguing for fairness, the exhaustion of waiting for others to understand what should never need translation. And in that moment you realize something simple, yet life-changing. Peace is not something others give you. It is something you choose. Peace does not come from winning arguments. It does not come from being right. It does not come from finally being understood. Peace comes when you stop negotiating with chaos. Many women believe peace will arrive once everyone behaves better, once others listen more, once relationships become easier. But peace does not wait for conditions to improve. It begins the moment you decide, I will no longer participate in what disturbs my soul. Choosing peace does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying what is not yours. It means you no longer beg people to treat you well. You simply remove yourself from places where they don't. Peace is chosen in small moments, when you don't reply immediately, when you don't correct every wrong tone, when you don't chase closure that never comes. It is chosen when you let silence finish the conversation for you. This choice feels uncomfortable at first, because you are used to engagement, to reaction, to fixing. But peace asks you to pause, to breathe, to step back. And when you do, something powerful happens. Your nervous system softens, your thoughts slow down, your heart finds rhythm again. People begin to feel this shift before they understand it. They sense that you are no longer available for drama, no longer open to emotional bargaining. Peace changes your posture, your voice, your presence. And slowly others adjust, not because you demanded it, but because your energy no longer negotiates. Yet peace alone is stillness, and stillness, when embodied fully, becomes something even more powerful. 5. Calmness is magnetic. Calmness is not silence alone. It is not the absence of emotion, it is emotional mastery. A calm woman is not numb, she feels deeply. But she does not allow feelings to control her movements. Her calmness is not cold, it is grounded, and grounding is magnetic. People are drawn to what feels stable, to what feels safe, to what does not shake easily. Calmness tells the world, I am centered, and the world responds by orbiting around that center. In a room full of noise, calmness stands out. In a conversation full of tension, calmness changes the temperature. In moments of conflict, calmness holds authority without force. A calm woman does not rush to respond. She listens fully, she pauses intentionally, and in that pause she gains power. Because most people react. They speak before understanding. They move before thinking. But calmness creates space, and space creates clarity. This calmness is not something you perform. It is something you cultivate. It comes from knowing who you are, from trusting your inner ground, from not needing immediate validation. Calmness says, I am not threatened by uncertainty. It says, I do not need to prove myself. And this is why calmness attracts respect. It signals confidence without arrogance, strength without aggression. Those who are used to chaos feel unsettled by calmness. They try to provoke it, to test it. But when calmness remains steady, it becomes undeniable. Over time, people begin to speak differently around you. They choose words more carefully. They listen more attentively. Because calmness commands attention without asking for it. Yet calmness alone can become predictable if it never evolves, and predictability, when misunderstood, can quietly dissolve respect. 6. Predictability kills respect. Predictability is comfortable, but comfort, when unchecked, breeds complacency. When people know exactly how you will respond every time, they stop being mindful. They stop choosing their actions carefully. They stop valuing your reactions, not because they are cruel, but because predictability removes consequence. A woman who is always available, always forgiving, always understanding becomes easy to overlook. Her consistency is mistaken for guarantee. Respect fades not because she lacks value, but because her value is always accessible. This is why unpredictability, not chaos, but depth, restores respect. Unpredictability does not mean playing games. It means allowing space for surprise, for mystery, for growth. It means sometimes choosing rest instead of response, distance instead of discussion, silence instead of reassurance. When people cannot predict your reaction, they become present, they pay attention, they slow down, because uncertainty invites awareness. A woman who evolves keeps others engaged, not emotionally dependent, but respectful. She is not rigid, she is not fixed, she is alive. Her responses are intentional, not automatic. Her presence is thoughtful, not habitual, and this keeps respect alive. Predictability says, I will always be here no matter how you treat me. But intentional unpredictability says, I am here by choice, not obligation. And choice carries weight. When peace is chosen, when calmness is embodied, and when presence remains dynamic, you are no longer taken for granted. You are felt. And when you are felt, respect no longer needs to be asked for. It arrives naturally, quietly, and it stays. 7. Emotional discipline is quiet authority. There is a kind of power that does not announce itself. It does not raise its voice. It does not rush to be seen. It simply is. This power is emotional discipline. Emotional discipline is not about suppressing feelings. It is about understanding them deeply enough that they no longer control you. A woman with emotional discipline still feels anger. She still feels sadness. She still feels desire. But she does not let these emotions decide her behavior. She pauses, she breathes, she watches what rises inside her before she responds. And in that pause, authority is born. Most conflicts do not escalate because of words. They escalate because of unmanaged emotion. A sharp reply, a defensive tone, a reaction fueled by hurt rather than truth. Emotional discipline breaks this pattern. It allows you to respond instead of react, to speak with clarity instead of impulse, to choose your actions instead of being dragged by feelings. This is why emotional discipline commands respect. Because people can feel when someone is not easily shaken. When others try to provoke you and fail, they sense something solid beneath the surface. They realize they cannot control you with mood, pressure, or manipulation. Emotional discipline is quiet authority because it does not need permission. It does not argue. It does not explain. It simply holds its ground. A woman with emotional discipline does not hand her power to circumstance. She does not allow temporary feelings to create permanent consequences. She knows that emotions are visitors. They arrive, they speak, and then they leave. She listens, but she does not obey blindly. This discipline creates inner safety. You trust yourself more. You stop fearing your reactions, and when you trust yourself, others begin to trust your presence. Because stability feels safe, and safety earns respect. Yet emotional discipline alone can still feel heavy if it turns into attachment. If control becomes tension, if holding on becomes exhausting, and that is when another truth quietly reveals itself. 8. Detachment is not coldness, it is control. Detachment is often misunderstood. People think detachment means you do not care, that you are distant, that you are emotionally unavailable. But true detachment is not the absence of love, it is the absence of fear. Detachment means you care deeply, but you are not controlled by outcomes. You love without clinging, you give without gripping, you stay without losing yourself. A detached woman is present but not desperate, engaged but not entangled. She does not chase validation. She does not beg for reassurance. She does not hold tightly to what may leave. Because she understands something fundamental. What is meant to stay does not need to be trapped. Detachment is control because it keeps your center intact. You are no longer pulled into emotional extremes. You do not rise too high with praise. You do not sink too low with rejection. You remain steady. This steadiness is powerful. People feel it immediately. They sense that your happiness does not depend on their behavior. And when someone realizes they cannot control your emotional state, a shift occurs. They either step up with respect or they step away. Both outcomes serve you. Detachment removes emotional bargaining. It ends silent contracts. It frees you from expectation. You no longer think, if I do this, they will love me. You simply do what aligns with your values. This kind of freedom is magnetic because it shows self-sufficiency. It shows wholeness. It shows inner wealth. Detachment does not close your heart. It protects it. It allows love to flow without attachment to result. And when you stop clinging, people feel invited, not pressured. Yet detachment also reveals something deeper about attraction itself, because the more complete you become, the less you need. And that changes everything. 9. Neediness repels, wholeness attracts. Neediness is not about wanting love. Wanting love is human. Neediness is about believing you are incomplete without it. When a woman believes she needs someone to feel whole, she unknowingly gives away her power. Her words soften too much. Her standards bend too easily. Her boundaries blur. Not because she is weak, but because she is afraid of losing connection. Neediness whispers, please stay. Even when the mouth stays silent, the energy speaks. And energy is always heard. Wholeness, on the other hand, is quiet confidence. A whole woman enjoys companionship, but she does not depend on it. She desires connection, but she does not fear solitude. She knows who she is, with or without approval. Wholeness attracts because it feels complete. It feels grounded. It feels safe. People are drawn to what does not need them, because choice is more powerful than obligation. A woman who is whole does not rush love. She allows it to arrive not to Rarely. She does not audition for affection. She does not perform for attention. She simply is, and that presence is felt. Wholeness changes how you walk into a room, how you speak, how you listen. You no longer ask, am I enough? You know you are. This knowing removes desperation, and desperation is what drains respect. When you stop needing others to complete you, they begin to value being chosen by you, because being chosen by someone whole feels meaningful. It feels intentional. And when emotional discipline steadies you, detachment frees you, and wholeness anchors you, you stop chasing respect. You become it. And from that place, everything you once hoped for begins to move toward you, without force, without fear, and without effort. 10. A woman with direction is unstoppable. There is a quiet strength in a woman who knows where she is going, not because the path is clear, not because the destination is guaranteed, but because her steps are intentional. Direction is not loud ambition, it is inner alignment. A woman with direction does not drift through life hoping to be chosen. She chooses herself first. Her days are not shaped by reaction, but by purpose. She wakes up knowing what matters. Not everything, just enough. Enough to guide her decisions, enough to protect her time, enough to keep her grounded when distractions appear. Direction gives her posture. It straightens her spine in moments of doubt. It steadies her voice when she is questioned. People feel it immediately. She is not scattered. She is not lost. And this is why direction commands respect. Because a woman who knows where she is going cannot be easily pulled off course. She does not bend herself to fit every opinion. She does not abandon her values to keep company. Her life has rhythm, and rhythm creates authority. Direction does not mean rigidity. It means clarity. She can adapt without losing herself. She can change paths without losing purpose. This kind of woman does not need to prove her worth. Her focus speaks for her. Men respect this because it signals maturity. It says, I am not here to be led blindly. It says, I walk beside, not behind. A woman with direction does not wait for permission to grow. She grows and the world adjusts. She is not threatened by someone else's strength. She recognizes it. Because when you are rooted in your own path, competition dissolves, comparison fades, and suddenly attention shifts. But direction alone is not enough, because even a focused life can be derailed if it confuses attention with meaning. 11. Attention is not love. Attention feels good, it feels warm, it feels validating. But attention is not love. Attention can be loud and empty. Love is quiet and consistent. Many women mistake attention for value. Messages, compliments, presence without depth. But attention asks, do you see me? Love asks, do you understand me? Attention comes easily. Love requires intention. A woman who understands this stops chasing noise. She no longer measures her worth by how often she is noticed. Because attention can disappear overnight. Love does not vanish without reason. Attention wants reaction. Love wants connection. When a woman craves attention, she gives away her center. She begins to perform, to adjust, to please. But when she seeks love, she becomes selective. She listens more than she speaks. She observes consistency. She values effort over words. This discernment is powerful. Men respect women who are not impressed by surface-level attention because it signals depth. It says, I am not easily distracted. It says, I look beyond the obvious. Attention fades when it is no longer entertained. Love grows when it is nurtured. A woman who understands this does not comp for attention. She creates presence. She becomes someone others must meet fully, not just glance at. And this changes everything. Because when attention is no longer your currency, you stop trading your peace for validation. You stop responding just to be seen. You start responding because it aligns. And alignment creates something even stronger than love. 12. Confidence requires no validation. True confidence does not ask for applause. it does not need witnesses. It exists quietly, like breath. Confidence is not arrogance. It is self-trust. A confident woman does not announce herself. She arrives. She does not seek approval before making decisions. She consults her inner compass. Validation is external. Confidence is internal. When you rely on validation, your sense of worth is fragile. It rises with praise. It collapses with criticism. But confidence stands steady. A confident woman knows who she is even when no one agrees. She does not explain her choices endlessly. She does not justify her standards. She understands that not everyone will understand her, and she is at peace with that. This peace is powerful. Men respect women who do not need to be constantly reassured, because reassurance becomes a burden when it replaces self-belief. Confidence allows you to receive love without clinging, feedback without crumbling, silence without panic. It gives you emotional independence. You stop asking, am I doing enough? You start asking, is this aligned? Confidence frees you from comparison. You no longer measure yourself against others. You measure yourself against your values. And this makes your presence grounded. You walk slower. You speak clearer. You choose more carefully, because you are no longer trying to prove anything. Confidence does not need validation, because it is rooted in self-knowledge, and self-knowledge is unshakable. When direction guides you, when attention no longer distracts you, and when confidence anchors you, you stop seeking respect. You become someone others naturally respect. And from that place, relationships change, choices deepen, and life begins to respond to who you truly are. 13. You teach others how to treat you. Every interaction is a lesson, not the lessons you speak, but the lessons you live. People do not treat you the way you ask to be treated. They treat you the way you allow yourself to be treated. This truth can feel uncomfortable at first, because it removes blame, and with blame gone, responsibility returns home. From the very beginning, your energy is teaching. Your tone teaches, your patience teaches, your silence teaches, your tolerance teaches. When you excuse disrespect, you explain that it is acceptable. When you stay quiet in moments that need clarity, you teach confusion. When you forgive without change, you teach repetition. This is not about punishment, it is about awareness. You are always demonstrating what is okay in your world. Many women wonder why the same patterns repeat, different faces, same story. And the answer is rarely found in the other person. It is found in the unspoken rules you have been living by. Rules like, I must keep the peace, I should be understanding, I don't want to seem difficult. These rules feel gentle, but they slowly erode respect. Teaching others how to treat you begins with how you treat yourself, the WA. You speak to yourself when no one is listening. The standards you keep even when no one is watching. When you honor your own boundaries, others feel it. When you protect your energy, others adjust. When you stop explaining your worth, others begin to recognize it. This teaching does not require confrontation, it requires consistency. You do not need to announce your standards. You live them. You respond differently. You choose differently. You stay calm where you once reacted. You step back where you once chased. And slowly the lesson lands. Some people rise to meet you. Some fall away. Both outcomes are honest. Teaching others how to treat you means accepting that not everyone will pass the lesson. And that is not failure. It is alignment. Respect grows where clarity exists. And clarity comes from embodied truth, not emotional speeches. But there is one lesson that is the hardest to teach. The lesson that feels like loss before it feels like freedom. It arrives the moment you realize that sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is not staying, but leaving. 14. Walking away is a form of self-love. Walking away is not weakness. It is not defeat. It is not giving up. Walking away is choosing yourself without anger. It is saying, I see this clearly now. And clarity changes everything. There comes a time when words stop working, when patience turns into self-betrayal, when hope becomes habit. And in that moment, staying no longer proves love, it proves fear. Walking away does not mean you did not care. It means you cared enough to stop abandoning yourself. Self-love is not loud. It does not slam doors. It closes them gently and firmly. Walking away is an internal decision before it is a physical one. It begins when you stop justifying what hurts you, when you stop minimizing what drains you, when you stop waiting for potential to become reality. You do not walk away because someone is bad. You walk away because the situation no longer honors who you are becoming. This is the hardest truth to accept. Love without respect will always wound you, and self-love refuses to stay where respect cannot breathe. Walking away is choosing peace over familiarity, growth over comfort, truth over attachment. It is understanding that endings are not punishments. They are permissions. Permission to rest, permission to heal, permission to become someone new. When you walk away without bitterness, something shifts. Your energy becomes lighter, your mind becomes quieter, your heart begins to trust again. People notice this change, not because you announce it, but because you carry yourself differently. Walking away teaches the final lesson, that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. And once you truly understand that, you no longer chase respect. You move in ways that require it. Because the woman who knows when to walk away is the woman who knows her worth. And when worth is known, life responds accordingly, not with noise, but with alignment, clarity, and quiet power. 15. Standards protect your energy. There comes a moment when you realize that exhaustion is not caused by doing too much. It is caused by allowing too much. Too many conversations that drain you. Too many compromises that cost you peace. Too many situations where you give your energy away without intention. And slowly, quietly, you begin to understand. Energy is sacred. Your energy is your attention, your emotions, your time, your presence. And where it goes, life follows. Standards are not rules meant to control others. They are commitments you make to yourself. They are the invisible fence that keeps your inner world safe. A woman with standards does not wake up tired of people. She wakes up clear about where she belongs and where she does not. Standards protect your energy because they prevent unnecessary friction. They stop you from explaining yourself to people who are not listening. They stop you from investing in connections that only take. Without standards, energy leaks. You feel drained after conversations, heavy after encounters, confused after interactions. Not because you are weak, but because you are open without protection. Standards say, I choose where my energy goes. They say, I am not available for everything. This is not arrogance. It is wisdom. A woman who values her energy understands that not every invitation deserves her presence. Not every message deserves her response. Not every relationship deserves her effort. She does not feel guilty for stepping back. She does not apologize for choosing rest. She does not explain why her peace matters. Because standards make decisions simple. When something does not align, she feels it immediately. Her body knows, her spirit knows, and she listens. Standards protect you from overextending, from overgiving, from overexplaining. They allow you to show up fully where it matters most. And here is the quiet truth. People respect what they must rise to meet. When your energy is protected, it becomes valuable. When it is valuable, it is treated with care. Those who cannot meet your standards will feel uncomfortable. They may call you distant, too much, unavailable. But what they are really feeling is the loss of access. Standards are not punishments. They are filters. They reveal who respects you without needing reminders. And as your standards solidify, something begins to change in the way others approach you. They slow down. They become intentional. They pay attention. Because they sense that your presence is no longer automatic. And when access is no longer automatic, desire awakens. 16. Desire grows where access is earned. Desire does not grow in excess. It grows in intention. When everything is freely available, it becomes invisible. When access requires care, attention deepens. This is not about withholding love. It is about honoring value. A woman who understands this does not give herself away too quickly. Not her body, not her emotions, not her inner world. She allows connection to unfold. Desire grows when there is space to miss someone, to wonder, to appreciate. If someone always has access to you, your time, your energy, your attention, there is no room for longing. Longing is not pain, it is anticipation, and anticipation fuels respect. When access is earned, effort increases, presence becomes intentional, words become thoughtful. Because effort follows value. A woman who requires effort is not playing games. She is setting a standard. She is saying, if you want closeness, show care. If you want my time, bring intention. This does not push away the right people. It draws them closer. Because those who are serious understand value instinctively. Desire fades when someone feels entitled to you. It grows when they feel chosen. A woman who does not rush intimacy allows trust to build naturally. She does not reveal everything at once. She allows depth to be discovered. This creates mystery, not manipulation, but presence. Mystery is simply the recognition that not everything is meant to be given immediately. And when access is earned, connection becomes meaningful. People show up differently when they know your energy is not guaranteed. They listen more, they invest more, they respect more. Not because you demanded it, but because your standards shaped the interaction. Desire thrives where effort is required. And effort is only required when boundaries exist. So when standards protect your energy and access is no longer automatic, respect deepens quietly. You stop being taken for granted. You stop being overlooked. You stop being drained. Instead, you are met with intention, met with care, met with respect. Because the woman who values her energy and allows access only where it is earned does not chase desire. She becomes someone worth reaching for, and from that place, everything that enters your life does so with purpose. 17. Power is felt, not announced. There is a kind of power that never raises its voice. It does not explain itself. It does not seek agreement. It simply enters the room. This power cannot be rehearsed. It cannot be forced. It cannot be borrowed. It is felt. True power is not in what you say about yourself, but in what others sense when you are silent. A woman who is powerful does not need to remind anyone of her worth. She does not list her qualities. She does not defend her choices. Her presence does the speaking. You can feel it in the W. As she walks, unhurried, in the way she listens, fully, in the way she responds, not rushed, not reactive. Power is not urgency. Urgency is fear in motion. Power is calm. When a woman is at peace with herself, her energy becomes grounded, and grounded energy is unmistakable. People feel it before they understand it. They notice they speak more carefully around her. They notice they want her approval, even when she never asks her theirs. They notice that her silence carries more weight than their words. This is because real power does not try to dominate. It does not compete. It does not chase. It allows others to reveal themselves. It allows situations to unfold. It allows truth to surface naturally. A woman who announces her power is still trying to convince herself. A woman who feels her power has nothing to prove. She knows that the strongest presence in the room